name is Greg Wendt, and I'm the Executive Director of the Security Solutions here at Appsian. What I wanted to talk to you quickly about today was managing risk and limiting exposure of business data in Oracle eBusiness Suite. We do this multiple different ways, but really to step back and tell you a little bit about Appsian and why we're talking to you today is what Appsian does is protects your most valuable assets, the business data that drives your organization. We have multiple security platforms that sit within multiple ERP systems. What I'm talking about today is EBS. So what we do in there is we've got a multi-pronged approach to protect that data. We start with fine-grained control, and really what that is it's an access control system that is built to protect your transactions and the data within your EBS system. On the back end, we have granular visibility that we're building inside of our Appsian 360 platform. That gives you an entire life cycle of what's happening to the data, who's touching it, and where it's going. So those fine-grained access controls really give you the ability on top of the roles that a user may have to control what a user can do. We do have over 250 customers worldwide, including some of the ones that you see on the right-hand side of the screen there. We are an Oracle partner as well. So quickly, some of the things that we do to protect your data inside of EBS. So I'm going to start with some of the data masking technology. We can do static masking, we can do a click to view and then track that as well as multi-factor authentication. So it's really about being able to protect that data. This is based upon stepping up into the application and bringing in additional attributes to understand why somebody may or may not have access to that particular transaction. We can block them from accessing a transaction holistically. So really what that does is it gives you some extra control back, especially when you're talking about the environment that we're all living in now. So that extra control gives you the ability to fine tune what's happening to your data inside of the application rather than just this user has a role. I've got the permissions and I'm going to be able to work with that transaction regardless of where and when I may want to work with that transaction. So building in some additional controls really helps to minimize some of the additional security issues of privileged misuse. By removing some of that data off of the page by default or off of the form by default, it's going to cut down on the amount of privileged misuse or just accidental leakage of data. Also data exfiltration, controlling where and when somebody can actually remove data out of the system. So all of these things are built to help minimize the attacks that are specifically hitting your end users from hacking and phishing. So all of these things can help secure your EBS system. So with that, what I wanted to do is let's jump in and do a quick little demo of some of the things that we're able to do to protect your EBS systems today. So I've gone ahead and logged into an EBS system, went ahead and launched it on the web, and then started the forms up. So what I wanted to do here was enter into a couple of different forms inside of EBS. So I'm going to look at some of the people maintenance. So I'm going to go ahead and open up and look at a specific employee. Some of the things that we have done here inside of the form is specifically protecting some of the data. First off, we started with the date of birth. By the date of birth, what we've done is a static mask of that data. So I cannot do anything with the data. I can't see it. This is done based upon additional conditions based on our platform to protect that data. Another example of protected data inside of this particular form is the national ID. You can see up here that we've actually got a click to view of the national ID. What we're doing here is masking the data by default. So as a person is entering in to look at the data record, we don't want certain values to be exposed, but maybe in this situation, what we need to do is allow them to edit or look at that information. So as the user needs to view the national ID, they can go ahead and click inside of the form data there, and they will be able to see the social security number or national ID. The nice part about this is as they toggle out of the field, that information is then going to be masked again. So basically it's only going to be exposed for that short period of time that they're actually working with that data or attempting to edit or change the data at that particular point. So as a user is working with it, it really cuts down on exposure of that data. Somebody may be taking a screenshot, sending over, maybe debugging an issue, something like that. It really gives you additional controls on top of that. So you can set that click to view up on really whatever field that you want to, but it really allows us to toggle in and out of there, turn that field on and off from that perspective. Additionally, some of the other aspects that we've gone in and protected, I'm going to go ahead and open up a payroll form. So I'm just going to access any of these, and what you're going to see is that transaction is going to be stopped. Why? That's because our security platform has actually blocked access from this particular form because of the rules that are built into the system. So you can add in those policies to help protect individual transactions like that. So in this scenario, we're not going to allow remote access to the payroll forms because that's going to increase the risks of possible hackers or people doing rogue access inside of the system. So we wanted to make sure that was controlled, and we did that through the Appsian security platform to block access to that. Now, what I wanted to quickly do as well is show you some of the information that we're able to garner from the the forms and what we're pulling out from our Appsian 360 platform. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the EBS dashboard here. What we're going to be looking at is just different pieces of information that we've captured, and we're going to go ahead and display on this to help with auditing and compliance. So initially, we're going to grab successful and failed logins real quick to let you know how often that's happening inside of the system. We can also give you information about the individual user IDs who may have had a successful or failed login. So you can see that Greg W, which happens to be me, I'm pretty good at putting in my password bad. You can also export that information out if you need to. We're tracking it by IP address as well. Certain forms that are accessed by a user. So you can see the form name and which user is accessing that information. The top 10 forms that are actually being accessed and used inside of your EBS system. Some of the things that we've got down here as well are that click to view. So once again, we're tracking that. So we're going to be able to give you that information as to who's performed a click to view on that data inside of EBS. And then we've also got form activity details to where you can drive in and see more details of what's happening, what that user is doing inside of the system. So that's just a couple of the pieces of information of what we're able to protect and what we're able to show you inside of the Appsian 360 product. So hope you found this informative and look forward to sharing more information on our EBS platform with you in the future. Thank you very much.